helping you with Acorn and RISC computing.
Thank you for coming and listening to me today. I can't see anybody now, so if you wish to be rude, that's not going to be a problem. I'm not going to see anything at all. So, my name is Richard Brown, and I'm going to talk for RISC developments, and I'm also going to do a short section for Orpheus Internet today as well. So I'll lead off with Orpheus and just give you a very brief rundown of what's been happening in the last couple of months and what's going to be going on in the world of internet service providers over the next 2 or 3 years. It's something that's going to affect everybody in this room. The first one is, unfortunately, our main supplier in the UK, BT, put all their prices up in March for April. So if I have any customers here that haven't responded to my emails that I sent out at the end of March, do please come and see me on the stand because our prices changed. In some instances, people are having to pay £2 or £3 more. But in some instances, with some of my customers being on older tariffs, we've actually been able to reduce the price. I managed that this morning for one customer, and we were able to drop his monthly payment by £8, which I'm sure you appreciate. That's reasonable over a year. It gives you more money to spend at the RISC shows on software and new hardware for all the companies that you know that we're associated with. So that was last month and this month, and in 2025, BT will be turning off, stage by stage, their analog systems in the telephone exchanges. So you will have to change how you make your phone calls. They will need to go to a system called VoIP, Voice over Internet Protocol. So you'll need to have a fibre to the cabinet or fibre to the premises and particular types of line. Now, I know from looking through all of my customers that some of them I can help with a new service, so you'll be able to do phone calls with Orpheus Internet, which means just one monthly bill, which can be quite helpful, I hope. And there are other customers, unfortunately, that I won't be able to help at the moment. This may change, or by the time that we get to 2025, I hope that I will have I will be a distributor for different companies and will be able to do something for all of you. So if you haven't spoken to me about it or you've got any questions, do come and see me on the stand, and I will try and fill in any blanks for you or explain anything. Now, on to the main event, RISC developments. What have we been up to? Have things changed? What's going on? I will try and give you a reasonable overview of what's happening. We've got a Pinebook Pro here today, so I can show you some things. Some of this is going to be a first for you that you will not have seen before. I will save that until towards the end, but we'll talk about our sort of 3 main things. The first one being the TCP/IP stack, that, as you know, is available in beta format to everybody at the moment. That's had 1 or 2 few under-the-hood tweaks, nothing particularly spectacular. TCP/IP is not a spectacular thing to talk about at the best of times. It's just something that works, and that's the most important thing. But we did have a real-world demonstration. Andrew Rawnsley at RComp was doing some testing on some of his machines, and he was doing a comparison for a particular test on a download, and this is something obviously that we all do. And he did a download on the old stack, and I can't remember the exact figures, but if we say it took 100 seconds to do this download, He then switched and was using a different machine with the new TCP/IP stack, and in real-world terms, it then took him 10 seconds. So he saw a 10-fold increase in that particular instance. If you want to know the exact figures, do please talk to Andrew on his stand and ask him about that example. But it's nice to be able to say that this magical networking stuff that works in the background, some of us understand 192.168.1.1, other people sort of, yeah, it's there, it works, I can go on the internet with it, and that's all we need to worry about, which is what, even me as a user, it's a lot more simple to think about it. But there is a real-world example of one of the benefits with our new TCP/IP stack, which I hope most of you have got on your machines. The next thing that makes use of the TCP/IP stack and the more modern computers, of course, is RISC, our web browser. I'll start that up and you can see that on the screen there. One of the improvements that Andrew did with his rod hat on was that even on this machine, which is a fairly fast one, we've got RISC sitting in the RAM disk, so we're doing our best to squeeze everything. That's included in the latest downloads that you can get from the various places on the ROD website. Obviously, unfortunately, in here, I haven't actually got it connected to the internet, so I can only show you a local website, which you may or may not recognize. And of course, today it doesn't want to work particularly well. But you can browse locally, if necessary, from the hard drive. Obviously, I'm trying to show you something there. But one of the improvements that's come out over the last month or so is the actual bookmarks manager. That's been improved. We can edit bookmarks. We can show lists. We have the, if you like, a favorites bar that's running across the top. And here we have some improvements on here. And this has just generally been overall improved over the first iteration that we had with the bookmarks manager. I can reorder things, I can move them around. And we can even, I can't remember, here we go. No, I can't remember how to move it up, I do apologise. But it's a general overall user experience improvement. Less buggy than it was before. It wasn't particularly prone to crashing at all, but where it was, some of those bugs have been smoothed out. One of the other improvements that we've now got on RISC is the ability to print. Now, this hasn't been available to us before now. I'm going to load up printers. Obviously, I don't have a printer here with me today, so as you can see, it's got a PDF in there. I go to print, go to setup, and scale it to fit, because obviously we're talking about an A4 PDF. If you have an A3 printer, different sizings, but that will give everything to us on the page. Gives a preview. I can say print. And of course, I'm demonstrating it to you, so it doesn't want to work. Or was I just not patient enough? I think maybe I just wasn't patient enough. We'll give it a moment or two. Do you have any questions about the bookmarks? Or I can't give you the technicals on the printing side, but are there any questions anyone wants to ask at the moment before I move on to anything else? I'm afraid I can't see any hands up.
Yep. Very quickly, are you going to be utilising the icons from each site within the bookmarks? So each site has its own icon, etc.
At the moment, I think we've just got the HTML ones. Do you have my email address? Sorry? Yes. Drop me an email, and that's a very good idea. We'll pass that on to the programmer and see if we can install that, because that would be a nice touch to have. I can see that there is a hand up there. I wasn't patient enough. Question?
The bookmarks look fantastic. Are we going to be able to import or export them into things like Safari and Chrome?
It's not available there at the moment. But again, Mark, I think that was Mark, email that to me and we can put that on the request list and see what we can do for that. So as I was saying, I wasn't patient enough for this. Here we are. We've got a PDF. I've dragged it out. Let's say make PDF. Obviously, normally, if you're connected to a printer, you're going to just say print and it will print out. And if I say view PDF, so there we are, minus all the graphics, which would have looked better, and it was when I was trying it during the week, you can actually see that we've printed out a page from an HTML page in Iris. So that is an improvement that will be coming out. I'm not quite sure what the timing scale is. I'd have to ask Andrew on that, but I've had that for the last week or so, and we've been testing, and so far it seems to work fairly well. As I say, I'm just generating it to a PDF today in lieu of actually having a printer here. So that's mostly what's been going on with Iris. Obviously, we're aware that it's always nice to speed things up, so that there are items going on under the hood, and general tweaks and what have you are going with that. Really very much the same as we are with the TCP IP. So most probably the nicest thing that's been added is this upgraded bookmarks to make it look nicer, easier to use. I would have demoed this, and I'm sure most of you would have been down at the show in the southwest. If not, and you want to come and have a look at this in more close detail, once I get it back on the stand, we have got a live internet connection today, so we can actually save some in, save some out. We were talking about importing and exporting. No, I don't think, I couldn't remember if something had snuck in that I'd forgotten there, so unfortunately, Mark, no, not at the moment, but I'm sure that's something that should be able to be sorted, because I would imagine most of this information is actually stored in a list somewhere within Iris.
It's an XML file, so if it was compatible, it would make it much easier to switch between browsers.
Yes. Yeah, you could put it on a pen drive and move it across to a different machine, or vice versa, if we can import those in. So I'm sure we can get that sort of thing. Any improvements that you would like to see to Iris, or if there's a feature there that you feel we've missed. Obviously, when we're actually beta testing this, we're looking at it more from the perspective of, does it stiff the machine? Has it broken something? Can we still do everything that we've done in the past? And I think sometimes we're not looking quite as far forward as we could do. So we're always happy to have you remind us or give us a nudge in the right direction for what we can do on that. Iris is available to the beta testers, to a slightly larger group. If you haven't had Iris before, then I do have some slips that I can provide you with. It's on the RISC development stand. All we're saying is the people that are beta testing now, some of them have put several hundreds of pounds or more actually into the project from the word go. So they've had the very early versions and they've been with us on this long journey. We're not quite there yet for just allowing it to be completely free and out in the wild like we've done with the TCP IP stack. I'm hoping that it will be available later on this year. So in the meantime, if you'd like to make a small, say, £20 donation to us, I'll give you one of those slips. And we'll be more than happy to share that link. As I say, I've got those on the stand, so come and see me after the talk. The other thing that we launched at the Southwest show was Pinboard 2. I can't see from here, but have most of you seen Pinboard 2 so far, or is it fairly new to you? Oh, so some people will have it here, other people won't. But the idea of Pinboard 2 is simply that we've taken the standard pinboard that comes with RISC OS that's been there for the last 20 plus years, and we've tried to just modernize it without losing any of the standard features. So as you can see, we have items on the pinboard. I can go menu, save pinboard. That looks familiar to everybody. So I don't need to keep that one, so let's delete that file. But if you notice, I was able to drag and drop that file actually onto the pinboard. Most of the files here, the PDF that I just created from Iris, I've dragged and dropped that from a save box to the pinboard. Pinboard now has its own directory, so it is possible to save files to the pinboard, which we hadn't been able to do before. The rest of these, hopefully you can see there, this is a shortcut to Photodesk. If I hover my mouse pointer over it, it will actually show me where Photodesk is, and it will give me some information about it as well. It's an application, and we have a date on there. Obviously, if I double-click on it, if I double-click on it, it will start up Photodesk. So there's nothing unusual about that for a pinboard program in itself. And as you can see, there is a little pin with a red top, so that denotes that it is actually a shortcut. And that can be organized on the desktop in various places. You can highlight all of them, go menu, go to that selection. We can tidy them up to the top if necessary, and move things around. I could remove the shortcuts. Obviously, if you do that, they will have disappeared. I did that earlier on today to show somebody. I then reset the machine, and I couldn't actually bring that back. But I do have an option in the same session to reset the changes, and it will ask me if I want to reload. And there we are. It's reloaded it back to the last saved position. So That makes life a little bit easier. And as I say, you can have a folder on there, and inside that folder, in this instance, we've got the Orpheus website. And like any normal file window, it will show you where that is. And in this instance, pling boot, choices, pinboard, saved files, and then Orpheus, which is the name of this particular folder with all the subfolders and information inside there. So something that couldn't be done with pinboard in the past, and we've managed to bring that into the future now. It is available free of charge on the RISC Development's website. 2.01 is available. That has some bug fixes and some one extra bit of functionality. If you come and have a look on the stand, there's a big sheet up there with all of the items on that. And again, you can come and have a play with it on this machine and have a closer look. But a much more useful, we feel, version of Pinboard than we've had before. Now for something completely different. Tied back with the TCP/IP stack, we've now got improved IPv4. We've got TCP IPv6 in there as well. Not something that everybody needs to use, but one of the items that is being worked on, with more hiccups, I'm afraid, at the moment than progress. But of course, that's Wi-Fi. And Wi-Fi for something like the Pinebook Pro would be very useful. One of the problems, not really a problem, but we've got at the moment, when you go to the internet, it's somewhat old-fashioned, might be the best way of putting it. This network configuration has been around for a very long time. So one of the things that is being worked upon, this isn't even, this is not working to much of a degree, but we are doing a new network manager. And in this network manager, let's see if I bring that up a little bit more, our normal info, but the most important thing is profiles. We're bringing profiles to networking. Now that may be much more useful to some people and less useful to others, but it does give us the ability with something like a laptop to go to different places, change a profile, and then actually have the information that the profile has stored for that network. So if you regularly go and visit someone else's house and you're getting together and you're bringing your machines there and you've got Wi-Fi, once we bring the Wi-Fi together, at the moment obviously I would use this on a USB connector with an Ethernet USB card, but when the time comes and we've got the profiles, as I say, this is not working, so this may change dramatically before it's actually released. But here we have a profile. It's set up. This is not being seen real time. So this is just a fake one that has been put in there. I don't want any of you to think that we're actually seeing it on this machine, unfortunately, at the moment. But we can then set things like DHCP, or we can set things manually. We can put in a local IP address and net mask and a default router, but we can do this for different places, different scenarios, and you can give the profile its name, and you can save. We have additional routes, as I was talking to the designer, which is Andy Vore, who's also done our TCP/IP stack. That's something that he finds would be quite useful. I have absolutely no use for it at all. So you can do things like adding routes in. As I say, that's most probably something that's more for the technical people than for us. Again, share FS and DNS settings, there's nothing there at the moment. But the idea is just to give you a flavour of what we think we might be able to do and to show to you going forwards. So this is being worked on at the moment. If I come down to the bottom and I want to add a profile, because I don't have the USB card in. If I have the actual USB network adapter in, again, come and see me on the stand, you would actually see it in that list down the side at the bottom. It will detect that and it will show that to us. So at the moment I can only use the Wi-Fi one, but we'll call this show demo. Standard net mask 22255, but of course I need to go in and change this as well so it would match. And I should have saved that. So coming down here now, if I look at the profiles, we've got Office, we've got Show Demo, Home, Out. They're all slightly different. Again, none of this is unfortunately working. I can't actually switch, but this is all something that we wanted to show you that yes, we're working on the Wi-Fi, but once the Wi-Fi comes along, you need a way of controlling it. You need the ability to actually see that. One button up here that I haven't clicked on yet is for security. And this will give you network names. And we've got WEP, WPA1, WPA2. So if you've ever set up your router, now, as an Orpheus customer, I tend to set up any routers that we send out. We preset them up for you, usually WPA2 stroke WPA3 on the latest generations. But you can select those, you can type in a password, and then you'll be able to save that. So we're updating what we've had in the Internet Manager in the past, with a new system, which we hope is based on a little bit of common sense and looking around. There are things there, some thoughts, Windows, Mac OS. I apologise if you don't like those words, but we need to get the best that we can for RISC OS so that you can, so we can go forwards. Are there any other questions that I can answer today for you? No, nothing at all? Oh, yes. Thank you, Charles.
See if it works at your end.
It's working with your voice. Working with my voice, yes, it is. I can't remember exactly what I've tried to do and what, but something to do with copying and pasting within Iris doesn't seem to work.
Copying and pasting in RISC-OS is interesting at the best of times.
Yes.
The copy and paste does work, but if I give you an example, I have, as my customers know, I have a database which is displays in HTML. I can highlight, I can do a Control-C to copy it. When I create my PDFs, I use Artworks, so this is my workflow, but I can't do a Control-V into Artworks. it just doesn't accept it because Artworks works in a peculiar way. So I put it into Strong Ed. But to get it into Strong Ed, I have to do Control-Shift-V. I believe that's because of the way Strong Ed is set up. I then have that text highlighted in Strong Ed. I then place my mouse pointer over it, press and hold, drag it into Artworks, which then says to me, would you like to put this on the clipboard? So I put it on the clipboard, and then I do a Control-V, and the text then appears in my Artworks window. So it does work, but on some instances, it can be very, very convoluted. That's most probably the worst. It's not quite so bad if I'm using Ovation Pro. Different programs react in different ways. If you've got a specific something that you want to do for copy and paste, then by all means, send me or Andrew an email with your specific example, and then we will do our darndest to see if we can get it to work, even if it's slightly convoluted. It's just one of those things. Unfortunately, in RISC OS, the global clipboard, the way it's implemented, and the way it's been updated over the years has left us with a slightly unusual way. It's not as simple as it would be in Windows or macOS. But it does work, but sometimes it takes a little bit of effort to get there. But good question, thank you. Does anyone else have anything that I can help with? No? Well, thank you very much for attending the show today. We do appreciate it. As a dealer, I'm sure the Wakefield user group are also enjoying having you all here. And Chris asked me to say to you all that it's their 40th anniversary, and they have some cake, which I think they're going to cut at 1 o'clock. I'm finishing a little bit early today, but if you, when I've finished, if you want to drift outside, I'm sure that Chris will be able to cut some cake. I can vouch for it. I tested it before it arrived here. It's a very nice cake, but thank you ever so much for coming and listening to me waffle on today. Appreciate it.